Enjoy your meeting.
Thank you so much. Go look at waves.
Thank you, Charles. I got somebody else over.
Okay, I can't see who's up there.
We got Seth and Joe.
Hold on, I got Seth,
Chloe was up there too.
Joe. That's not us. So we got Seth, Joe, RJ, Mike, and myself.
That's four.
That's a quorum.
That's a four.
No Tim, no John.
Okay, so no John. No Tim. So no, we're missing. We got you.
I'm here.
So are we ready to roll?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Acceptance of the agenda.
All right, I'm gonna make sure everybody can hear us first. RJ, Mike,
Here.
Joe,
Here.
Seth. Just do a thumbs up if you can't talk.
I'm here.
Okay.
Thanks.
Our fearless leader is homesick and he wants to speak as little as possible. So somebody want to make a motion to approve, and we have Will as staff is here. Will,
Aye.
okay, we have somebody want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Mike has done that.
Second.
RJ seconded. All those in favor, RJ,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Seth? Thumbs up.
Aye.
Okay. Any public comment, or is everybody here for something specific?
One.
No, no public
Hold
comment?
on, we do have
We have somebody up there,
I don't have all the windows up, but we do have Spruce. Just give me 1 second.
because I can't see him up there.
All right, you can call in whenever.
Okay. Spruce, you're up there. We can see you now.
Thank you, Madam Chair, or Madam, are you the chair?
Acting chair.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Burton Balkind, in the Zoom meeting, as the president of the Nantucket Coastal Conservancy. And I'm asking that, the Concom, could, give us an update on the ongoing maintenance and mitigation for the current, geotube project that, has a removal order and also a positive order of conditions for expansion, especially now that we're entering this fall winter storm season. Um, we feel that the structure has been all but abandoned and continues to cause harm in the fronting beach and downdrift areas. And if this could be put as an agenda item in a meeting in the future, I would appreciate it, and we would appreciate it. That's my first point. Second, public comment. This is making it as just myself, not as I'm a member of the Nantucket Coastal Conservancy. I walked some of the beaches today at lower tide, and I believe the property number is 281 Hummock Pond Road. You might be aware of it. The coastal bank has eroded. The property. I don't have it. I couldn't get on the property because I didn't want to trespass, but it's getting within about 25, 30 feet of the structure, foundation of the coastal bank resource area. I don't know if that falls under your purview, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. And if it doesn't, would I make a call to the building department to let them know? And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. We obviously can't talk about these things, but Will has noted them for the next meeting or to check out I know 281, it is getting awfully close. But thank you for your comments. We'll probably put that on the next agenda because we can't discuss it here.
Yeah, and just to chime in through you, Linda, if that's cool. Spruce, if you shoot me an email too, I'm happy to go check out that house on Hummock Pond, but it would be, we get involved once, and this is just generally speaking too, not specific to that place, but we get involved once, they need an emergency certification to actually complete the work, but the building department or the health department has to declare an emergency first. But a lot of times it's any of the above, seeing it and then reporting it to the right people. So happy to go take a look. And then we'll try to get the other thing on the agenda. If you want to shoot me an email, it'd be cool though.
Also, to back up what you just said, I would email Paul Murphy. Because he's the one that would have to make that decision.
Thank you.
Okay, notice of intent, no waiver required. There are none. Gonna be a pretty quick meeting today,
Oh,
guys.
do you want to just go through the continuances real
Yeah,
quick? Sorry.
that was, there's none. The Nantucket Island Land Bank, under notice of intent, no waiver required, has been continued to September 4th. Wisconsin Beach Preservation, 59 to 83 Baxter Road, SE 483759, continued to 9/18. Summer House, Nantucket Realty Trust, 10 and 16 Ocean Avenue, SE 483824, continued to 9/4. West Assured LLC, 62 Winoma, SE 483869, is continued to 9/4. Sankaty Golf Club, 18 Hoyks Hollow, SC 483911, has been continued to 9/4. And I think that's it, isn't it? Unless something came in this afternoon. Is that it?
That's right.
Okay. All right, notice of intent, no waiver required, there are none. Notice of intent, no waiver required. Nantucket Land Bank, continued. Notice of intent, all three will continue. Wisconsin Beach, Summer House, and West Assured. Notice of intent waiver required, Sankaty was continued, so that takes us up to Nantucket Conservation Foundation on code 2. SC 483914, art, it's gonna be the art show today.
Hi,
Come on up to the table.
thank you. For the applicant, the Gasparo and Nantucket Engineering. I'm before you tonight with the second hearing as a follow-up for the relocation of the Ranger cabin out on code 2. And there were some questions at your first meeting about, we have been proposing or contemplating some sort of an elevated platform for viewing. And it seemed that that had raised some additional concerns. So we've eliminated that from the plan and provided a new plan to you that didn't include that piece of the work. And other than that, I believe everything remains as previously presented to you, and I'd be happy to take any questions or concerns.
Well, we're having some technical difficulties, so everybody up on the screen can see it also, because they've changed the town website, which nobody can navigate.
This is just Adobe.
So it takes a half an hour to figure out anything, especially if it's just it's ridiculous.
Oh, so that was the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
He's got a new map there behind it somewhere.
It's in this letter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the next page.
Yeah.
Great.
Again, getting back away from the beach and the bank and moving that structure inland.
You got enough room to do it, so.
And this is where we'll.
Previously proposed, yeah, so we won't propose anything there.
Okay. All right, anybody have any comments? Mike, nothing?
Nothing.
RJ? Joe or Seth, any comments up there?
No.
Seth?
Try not to
Where to
speak.
go?
Done.
None. None.
Okay, any public comment? Okay, do we have everything we need?
We do, you got your NHESP
We did.
letter, right?
Yeah.
Everything is good to go.
Great, somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, anybody second, RJ seconded, all those in favor, Mike,
Aye.
RJ,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
Okay, we want to make a motion,
How about your vote?
aye,
Nice.
it's a given. Somebody want to make a motion? We just closed the public hearing.
Motion for what? Oh, I'll make the motion.
Seth, Will, don't we have to make a motion to approve this?
Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah.
No,
We just-
not,
We
not
just Close
yet.
the public hearing.
No,
Definitely under the orders.
yeah, we have to get to the orders. and
Or, yeah,
conditions.
that's,
Sorry.
I'm so in HDC from this,
Okay.
one.
Sorry, you were calling
items
me
on
out.
that agenda, it's just like
I
HDC.
wasn't listening that closely.
Yeah, fine.
Apologies.
Okay, we move on. Now, we're down to Green Hill, 16 Hoist Hollow, which is also art. And I don't know if everybody had a time, we're not gonna close it today, but I don't know if anybody had a chance to read the 3 pages of that order that Will drafted, sort of gives you a template where to go, where we're going. But, go ahead, Art.
Thank you, for the applicant, Gasparo, Nantucket Engineering. We're here before you for a coastal stabilization project along the bank, on the east side of the island in Quidnet, north of the pond, Savage Pond. And, we have tried to provide you with, quite a bit of information in the application regarding the existing conditions. And what we're hoping to do is to, protect the toe of the bank in a way that we can, establish vegetation along the face of the bank. And then to provide, mitigation sand on an annual basis to keep, the array covered. And what we're proposing is, the same template as, has been approved in many other locations in terms of using, solid coir fiber rolls, encased in a netting and then, anchored with duckbill anchors, and cabling into the bank. And then a modification for this location, be given the exposure would be to along the toe of the array, to use, the more traditional, if you will, sand-filled, wrapped coir fiber logs. Those would be set down deeper in the beach. This setting is a little bit different than some of the other applications you've seen, and that the toe of the bank is a bit higher in elevation. The beach there is higher, and so what we would do is to set in those tubes and then construct the stabilized array above that. We would keep the whole system covered with sand. We provide, I think we had put in between 600 and 1,000 yards a year, keeping this covered, as well as an extensive planting of the bank, and then all of the same monitoring protocols that the commission has required on other similar projects. We would be amenable to in those orders and agree to do that regular monitoring and reporting of the conditions and of any sand that is provided. The construction access will be two places. One is, it's a little light on the plan, but shown in red from the existing driveway around the middle of the project. Maybe it's a third and 2/3, but it's a good place to access from the existing driveway in order to deliver all the materials over the top of the bank. And then we would use the ramp at Hoyts Hollow for accessing the beach and to get on and off the beach daily with any equipment that's needed for the construction installation of the array. With that, be happy to take questions or concerns that you may have. As the acting chair had noted, we wouldn't be closing this tonight. We have received a file number, though we are waiting for a final review from Natural Heritage. And we'd like to take any input that the commission or the public may have.
How many were in the meeting?
It's 900 feet.
Okay. RJ, do you want to start?
This is for Will, the draft notice starts by saying the waiver is required. The waiver is required, and then at the bottom it says no waiver is required.
Oh, yeah, so if you want, basically it depends on which way we're gonna go with it, because we recently, I don't want to bring up a specific project, but we recently issued a permit for a coastal stabilization project. And I can't remember which meeting it was, but there was discussion about whether it was water dependent or not. Art did request a waiver, so basically we're not gonna be able to close this tonight, but I wanted to throw you guys the draft. I didn't notice that there were, there is a waiver required, but then in additional findings, it's gonna be everything from the last one. So basically, I'm gonna have one drafted up with the net, is it the net benefit improvement?
For you, Madam Chair? Yes, we requested a waiver, based on long-term net benefit for the stabilization of the, and the vegetation of the bank itself. An improvement that would, recognize at the same time. My belief in past, is that this is in fact a water dependent project and may not need the waiver. I know the commission has acted differently, so we wanted to provide that. I believe the project's justified under either approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other one, we didn't, it was water dependent, we didn't
Yeah.
require a waiver on the other one, which is very similar.
And that's pretty much my thoughts on it through Linda. I understand the argument either way. So basically, conservation agent will draft both up. And then as we go through the meeting, when we're actually on the order, that's when we'll decide if it gets deleted or if it stays.
Anything else you want to add at this time?
No, if we're not gonna waiver it, then no. If we were gonna waiver it, I'd have more to say. Especially about the long-term net benefit part, because the vegetation doesn't wanna be there. So but it's moot if we're not gonna waiver it,
Okay,
so.
That's also up to you. So,
yeah. Not necessarily, yeah.
yeah.
Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my question is, I'm just not familiar. Well, let me just start by saying I'm fully in support of the project, and I think the protection would be good. I'm just not familiar with the bottom choir tubes. Is it the same material? They're obviously bigger.
Through you, Madam Chair. So those would be the, same template that is, has been installed on many other properties and was typically approved prior to going to the solid filled logs. So it's where they take the, choir netting, they make two layers and they kind of use a jig, and lay it in and then pack the sand, wrap it and stitch it together. So the best description I really could use would be a sand sausage, cased in the quad netting, which has the apertures to allow the sand out, when it's acted on, if it's acted on by any rate forces.
Okay. The drawing, just because the drawing has them like square, just like wasn't sure if it.
Yeah, I rounded the edges, if I may, for you. That's when they get kind of compact, it is just a graphic representation, but they tend to get flattened a bit, and especially when we put the other ones on, but they are probably a little bit more elliptical than I could have probably used a little bit bigger fillet on the drawing.
Okay, and what are the duck bills actually made of? Are they cable?
Stainless steel cables and stainless steel anchors, and basically it's a rod with a flap at the end that you drive in, and then when you tension it, it pulls 90 degrees so that you get all of the force of the bank and the sand that resists that pull out.
Okay, and I guess, thank you for that. And I guess my last question, and it's actually really more of a comment, but because these are choir logs and you're going to be, they could be subject to just disappearing. So they're different from a coastal engineering structure in my opinion, but the coverage of the sand, is that something they're proposing that they're just going to keep it covered at all times, or it's just during the maintenance portion of the?
The effort would be to maintain sand cover at all times to avoid UV degradation as well. But I think there's a reality of mobilization time, that there could be a period of time in between storms and beach conditions. So I wouldn't want to sit here and say it will be covered at all times. What I could say, and the applicant is absolutely committed to, is that the minimum amount of sand would be added on an annual basis that would then be used to distribute over that area, with a goal to keep them covered as close to all times as possible.
Okay, I mean, again, I'm in support of the project. I guess the one sort of concern I'm closing out with, and we'll see what other commissioners think, is just that it is 900 feet, and then like what the responsibility is for the sand coverage if we're interested in coming up with something for that, but that also could be in the monitoring, spelled out in the monitoring then on how you propose to do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Seth has had his hand up there. Seth,
Oh,
your
yeah, you got
turn.
a call on.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So I've had a variety of concerns that are all somewhat related, but the first is just to call out some realities related to the resource areas on site and the waiver that's being requested. So we have the coastal bank, which has been outlined. There's also coastal beach, and in this location, it should be noted that this is a barrier beach, which holds more stringent performance standards than a regular coastal beach. So we should keep that in mind. And then there's the land under the ocean as well. And personally, I don't think the long-term net benefit waiver is the appropriate waiver to either request or apply here, because it's for two reasons. First, it's not that waiver seeks to not to seek a waiver from a long-term net benefit to the performance standards, but to the resource area itself. And it's also not, we can't take into account one resource area in in light of all the other resource areas. So we would need to find that this array is not only beneficial to the coastal bank, but it's beneficial, it has a long-term net benefit to the coastal bank, beach, barrier beach, and land under the ocean, or those things in totality. So if it causes a short or small amount of benefit to the coastal bank, or even a moderate amount or large amount of benefit to the coastal bank, but it causes concerns to those other resource areas that in totality are much more significant, then that's not an appropriate use of the waiver. I think, and I've always thought, that in these types of projects, we should always be looking towards the no adverse impacts, no reasonable alternatives waiver, because it's just much more straightforward and easy to assess. I understand that was not requested by the applicant, but the reality is the applicant has the authority to request whatever waivers they want, and the commission has ultimate authority to either grant those waivers, no waivers at all, or any other waivers that we think are relevant. So I think that we should not even consider the long-term net benefit waiver, and we should move towards considering the no adverse impacts, no reasonable alternatives waiver. It's just a much more robust way of looking at a project of this size and scope and significance on multiple resource areas. It's my personal opinion, and I know many commissioners don't share this, but it's my personal opinion that these types of projects are coastal engineering structures. And in fact, in a recent application, in a recent order of conditions on this same stretch of coastline, we found that to be the case. Obviously, there was other instances that were part of that project and other parts of that project as well. But we're talking about a 900 linear foot project with significant engineering to it. And unfortunately, we still haven't really figured out the best way in our regulations definitions to deal with that. So we do have to, on a case-by-case basis, look at what's proposed and evaluate it on a case-by-case basis related to the size, scope, and scale. I think personally, I mean, I understand what Art is saying about the sand sausage below grade and then the other rolls above grade. I think combining those technologies is going to make it much more firm and much less permeable than if you just used one technology alone. It's just like how we have in the past deemed that using COAR roles in collaboration or coordination with sand drift fencing, that would be a coastal engineering structure, even if neither of them alone would be. So I think we need to really consider, is this all one integrated project, or is this using two separate stabilization techniques that independently wouldn't be engineering, but jointly would be? And I think we really need to give that some thought. And I know we have a lot more to discuss, and NHESP has to weigh in on that, but I don't think we should close this hearing without having a robust discussion on those facts. So thank you.
Yeah, we're not closing this tonight.
I know, but I'm speaking generally.
Thank you. Joe, do you have any comments?
No, other than my usual coastal engineering structure comment that has already been raised by Seth.
Will, you got any comments here?
Not as of right now.
I have
Okay.
just one follow-up.
Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, just for discussion, I guess, Seth, my question would be on the waiver with no reasonable alternative. I mean, we've, in past applications, have discussed people moving structures as a reasonable alternative, and I'm certainly not proposing the applicant do that here. So that, I guess that would be my sort of thing in the further discussion we'd want to flush out is, by using the no reasonable alternative, like just what really is kind of the meaning of that or the implication of that. Thank you.
Acting chair, if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too into the discussion on that because it is not the waiver that the applicant requested. So in deference to them, I'll keep this light. I understand that submitting an application for the waiver that has been requested for long-term net benefit is significantly easier because you don't have to go through the whole process of a written alternatives analysis. But it's up to us to decide if that's reasonable. The burden of proof is always on the applicant to show us what we need. And I would just note that obviously it's a different property and it's a different project, but this applicant and this applicant's representative in public testimony before this commission has themselves suggested alternatives for the same stretch of coastline, for this same eastern shoreline that are in the record for other projects. And, if they don't want to do that on their property, that's their right. We don't tell applicants what to do. But I would personally think it would be a great disservice to this commission and community if we didn't go down that path of talking about what are all of the options for stabilizing the shoreline. Thank you.
All right, you may want to add that or amend your application to include that as an alternative finding. How do you feel about that?
Yes, back to you, Madam Chair, Commission. We certainly will take all of this under advisement and provide, revised information, discuss it as a team, and is very helpful, and I appreciate, those comments.
I just don't want to preclude you from adding something that may be more advantageous to your client.
Understood.
Okay. Any other comments? Any public comments? Okay. This is the one board I'm on where you don't need a motion to continue.
We usually ask the applicant if they wish to.
We do wish to
Yeah,
continue.
you already said it earlier that.
It's the 21st.
You can do September 4th or the 18th.
Yeah.
The fourth, please. I don't know why today is 20 minutes. Yes, the fourth, please. I'm lost.
This
Also,
is
so-
August. I'm still looking for Memorial Day. Okay, that's what I wrote it out before. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Thanks, sorry.
We have, Artie, you done? No?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
For a little while.
Yeah,
for now. I'm covering for David.
yeah, amended orders and conditions, no waivers required, East Lincoln Avenue Realty Trust, 16 Wall Street and 2 East Lincoln Avenue. SE 483906, and David Haynes could not be here, so Will is David Haynes,
I don't think I'm that cool.
or that old.
Rejected.
Well, I'm getting there. It's my birthday at the end of the month. So David, not to get into it or anything, David wasn't able to connect last time due to a glitch on the IT end. And today, he's got a family emergency going on, so asked if I would cover this. Will said no problem. So if you will remember,
It's on the corner of Walsh and East Lincoln.
but essentially this amended order is being submitted. One of the houses was actually being removed. The lots are next door to each other and they've been subdivided. So now instead of removing one of the homes, it's being moved and slightly reconfigured. So there's now going to be a house on each lot. This was a flood zone, non-waiver. All the first floors are going to be elevated out of the flood zone. Other than that, pretty simple project. If there's any questions, I may have to kick it down the road and that's fine, but just wanted to at least open it if we can. Pretty straightforward. I actually think the original notice was, one of the batch votes in a non-waiver.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it.
Anybody have any questions? RJ, Mike?
No.
I can't see them anymore, Seth or Joe.
Oh, hold on. I also don't believe I shared this, which is my bad. Sorry, Seth and Joe. Get it up for the public record as well. And then we'll ask Will if all the materials are present in the application.
For us to do this?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody want to make, is there any public comment? Somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So
Second.
Okay. Mike,
Aye.
RJ,
right,
Seth,
Hi.
Joe,
Hi,
and myself.
Thank you, guys. Now, if only I was David, I would be retiring to my home in Western Mass. But I'm here, so I'm still in the trailer.
Okay. So amended orders and conditions, waiver required, none, public meeting, we have East Lincoln Avenue Realty Trust, 16 Wall Street to East Lincoln Avenue, SE 483906. Where do you want to go with that since he's not here?
Well, so we just look at we're in drafting of orders now, so we'll just check out the amended order real quick and go through it. Let me open that up.
Have my own copy because I can't read it then.
Fair enough. All right. You can have it tiny on this screen, and then as soon as you drag it over to the TV, it's like twice the TV. All right.
I hate this town program. I hate it. Hate it. You gotta go all the way to the right, well, then it's just fine.
All right, so we just have the date of the amended plan, and then the order has been amended to include relocation and renovation of the existing house onto the recently subdivided portion of the property as shown on the amended plan. We would have all the same conditions unless there's anything that we'd like to add, and there's no waiver required still. In the original order, we had 1819 lighting, plantings for natives, and no ag chemicals or fertilizer. I don't think that we need anything additional on here. Due to the change, unless anybody else.
Anybody got any comments?
No.
Legend? Joe, Seth?
No,
I don't see Seth up there anymore.
Seeing nothing. I have the list with hands, but I think
Okay. So I guess we're ready to roll. Somebody want a motion, is there any public comment? Somebody want a motion?
we have no public
No public?
other than
No public?
the
You're
public
public.
that's here. I'm sorry.
Mike made a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, RJ,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Joe,
aye,
and myself. There we go. Now, this one we have to motion to approve, correct?
Yes.
Okay, somebody want to make that motion?
We just did.
Yeah, you just did
I
approve
just
as
closed it.
issued.
I
This
just
was
closed
the public,
Oh,
hearing.
this was.
Oh, the hearing's already closed. So just make another motion. You only have to do motion to
Okay.
accept as drafted or approve as drafted.
So moved.
That was your motion, that was your second.
Second.
And that's your vote,
Yeah.
your vote,
Aye.
Seth. And Joe.
Yeah,
Right
aye,
here. Yeah, okay. Orders of conditions, amended orders, conditions waiver required, none. I like these nuns. Orders, conditions, amended orders of conditions waiver required. Nantucket Conservation Foundation Code 2.
And that's our only other one.
That's our only other one.
Very slow. Maybe it's more.
It's hard to move this screen up and down. We're finding that problem over at the HTC too. We're trying to look at our plans. You can't really manipulate it and control it.
We never did get our trip over for a field viewing.
To go to?
Yeah.
I did.
Uh,
It was fantastic.
I'm sure it was.
It was a great day. All right, so we've got our order here. This order permits the proposed relocation of the ranger station, installation of a viewing platform, which actually that's out.
Took out.
Just as an aside, it was very cool to finally see in the ranger station. I would like to live there.
There are houses up there.
This order permits the proposed relocation of the ranger station, walkway, and dune restoration at the Nantucket Conservation Foundation Code 2 property within coastal dune, barrier beach, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. A waiver is required for this project as proposed. We had an HESP, which we've got. Conditions 18 and 19, 20, during any demolition activity, the contractor shall designate an employee on site to monitor and contain debris that may enter the resource area or its buffer zone. 21, the applicant shall present a yearly report, including photographs demonstrating the condition and survivorship of the replanted area and the existing vegetated areas. Should the commission determine that additional plantings are necessary, they will be authorized based on this discussion. 22, all restoration plantings are to be native species with no cultivars. American beach grass is not that hard. 23, all reports are required annually on or before date of issuance until a certificate of compliance is issued. Waivers are required for this project under 390-10B5 and 398B2 to allow removal of structures within the 50-foot buffer to a coastal bank and dune, and under 399B6 that no excavation is permitted on a barrier beach without restoration to original form and volume. The commission finds that this project as proposed will result in a long-term net benefit to the resource area. Therefore, the commission grants waivers under 393H3C of the Nantucket Wetland Protection Regulations.
Any comments, RJ?
Nope.
Mike,
No.
Seth?
No.
Joe?
no,
Okay. Motion
As amended.
as amended.
Yes.
Thank you.
RJ, you seconded?
Second.
All those in favor? Mike,
Aye.
RJ?
Aye.
Seth,
aye.
Joe?
aye,
Okay, thank you very much for that.
I like when we get to
We
hear.
continued the other one, request for delineation applicability, delineation, none, request for determination applicability, requested, none. Minor modifications, none. Then we got certificates of compliance. We got quite a few of those.
1, 2.
Okay, Coburn, 5 North Beach Street, SC 483628. Will,
I don't know where, I've been making people represent these. I don't know if Bracken or anybody's here for Bracken, but let me hang on.
well, you've been doing such a great job at this meeting representing these things. Yeah.
That was the old man.
Cause you know every one of these.
All right, so I'm gonna grab the plan for you, but this was a demolition project at 5 North Beach Street.
It's just weird that they demolished this thing.
Here's your plan. I'm not sharing it anyway. But this was demolition at 5 North Beach. I will just read the blurb up top super quick because that's gonna be a better representation than my sentence. So the order permitted the demolition of an existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling with associated landscaping, grading and utilities, and land subject coastal storm flowage. There was no waiver for the project. And I do have, we don't need to continue roof runoff. I don't think we do that in the past. Could go either way on that, but I wasn't recommending any continuing conditions for this. Unless for some reason anybody wants to continue the roof runoff thing, because I guess theoretically you could change the gutters in a month, but
Let it run into
it's up to you all. But that's it for that one.
the. RJ? And
Nothing.
Seth?
Yeah, we might as well continue the roof runoff condition. Doesn't hurt, but yeah.
Anybody care?
If staff wants to keep it
Seth
on,
wants to
fine
keep
with
it on,
that.
we keep it on. Joe?
No,
Okay. We wanna make a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second,
Okay, Mike,
Aye.
RJ,
aye.
Seth, Joe, with
aye,
it continuing,
Condition 20.
Yep.
Just to-
Okay, Warren's Landing nominee trust, 40 Warren's Landing Road, Art. You have to just stay up here.
Well, okay. This was a residential redevelopment project, which was a portion of which was in the buffer zone to an isolated vegetated wetland. And I believe the work has been completed in substantial compliance. We had installed some septic tanks within the buffer zone, but outside of the 50-foot buffer zone, and then that allowed us to pump the effluent out of the buffer zone completely and increase the groundwater separation. So I think there was an improvement in site conditions there.
Will, anything to add?
Sorry, got my mouth. Just the continuing conditions, but project was completed.
What were the continuing conditions?
I just wanted to check this additional finding too, but I don't think that this is relevant. So we had conditions 20, 21, and 22. So 20 was all plantings shall be native species with no cultivars. 21 was exterior lighting in compliance with chapter 102. And 22 was a specific one. The existing walking path connecting to Blue Heron Way shall be marked with permanent markers to determine the width and layout to be maintained as shown on the plan of record. All good. We're going to continue that condition.
Any other discussion about anything?
Not for me, thank you.
We'll make a motion.
Motion to approve with the continuing conditions.
RJ? Okay, Joe?
second,
Let's say, Seth?
Aye.
Okay. One down and two to go.
We're accused of this one. My pre-commission days, I was pretty actively involved in 21 meter, so. Let's sit this one out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have a quorum?
Yeah, we have.
Yep, we still have four. Ooh, math.
At Hang Ten LLC, 21 Meter Street, SE 483611. And at Hang Ten LLC, 21 Meter Street, SE 483679. Hit
So this was a residential development of a vacant lot. And the first order was restoration of an area that we created a rain garden planted with native species. Restored the grade, removed some, part of an enforcement, removed some timbers
Yeah.
around the perimeter, and that had required some monitoring, which we have provided photos of. And then the second order, I don't know if you want to take them together for the same property. The second was for the construction of a single-family home and a garage. And again, the resource area here is land subject to coastal storm flowage. The home is elevated and constructed in compliance with flood zone requirements. We've shown spot elevations on there. The grade was maintained, and permitted fences were installed. I believe that the project is constructed in compliance with the issued order.
right, Will,
Yes, I do have few continuing conditions, but they're gonna be on separate permits, which is fine. So for the 3611.
Yep.
I thought we might wanna continue this, all restoration, what we always do with restoration plantings, but condition 20, all restoration plantings are to be native species with no cultivars. The rain garden shall include a native type of species. And then the final part's not relevant because we did get the final planting plan, but I think we can continue the first half of that by
First half.
continuing the whole condition. And then 22 for the fencing. If we want to continue that, all fencing shall be picket fencing or split rail. And 3679 was just our lighting condition.
Right.
But other than that, we have everything. I visited the site. I had flashbacks and but we're all set and believe that. I don't know if I should make this comment, but I think that wetland might not be jurisdictional today.
what?
Well, there's no wetland on site, right? Land subject to coastal storm flowage is what we found. Anyway, wouldn't have even been a discussion today probably, but
Not discussing.
So
we have continuing conditions on both of them.
for 3611, it's 20 and 22.
Yep.
And for
Okay.
3679, it is 20.
Only half of one of those, half of 22, correct?
Yeah, but you would have to, we can't like continue a piece of a condition, but the second part of that condition is just that a final planting plan for the rain garden area shall be submitted to staff for review, which it was, that's already checked off.
All right,
Motion to,
any other comments up there from Joe or Seth?
No,
Okay, go for it.
motion to approve of the existing condition, Madam Chair.
I took them separately though. 3611.
20 and 22.
20 and 22.
22.
Okay, is there a second up there?
second,
Okay, Joe seconded. All those in favor, Mike,
Aye.
Joe,
aye,
Seth?
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye. Okay, and then the other one,
Motion to approve
36.
79 with ongoing condition.
Okay,
second,
20.
condition 20. All right, Joe seconded. All those in favor, Mike,
Aye.
Joe,
aye,
Seth,
Aye.
and myself. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Art.
I see you.
13 Commercial Street LLC, 13 Commercial Wharf, S E 483663. Chloe? You up there?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, all right. 13 Commercial Street LLC, Nantucket surveyors on behalf of that applicant. They were issued an order of conditions September 13th, 2022. And then there was an amendment to that order, September 11th, before, but no work was done, or ever even started. So they're wishing to close out this order.
Well,
Can confirm, so we would be issuing a. Why am I,
termination,
no, why am I not getting the word right now?
Motion to invalidate the order.
Yeah, it's an
There you
invalid,
go.
we need to issue.
I'll make
Yeah.
that motion.
Seth made that motion.
Oh,
Seth-
good.
Mike seconded. All those in favor, Mike,
Aye.
RJ,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and myself is aye. Thanks for bailing that out.
Thank you, Seth. Thanks. I was like, it's an invalid order, and then I'm like, no, it's a cert, why am I, yeah, no, we're good, invalidate the order.
Nantucket Island Resorts LLC, 19 to 29 North Water Street and 72 Easton Street, SE 481895. Chloe, you're
All
up.
right. Chloe, Nantucket Surveyors, on behalf of the applicant, will be Nantucket Island Resorts LLC and White Elephant Hotel Residence LLC. All right, so this is an older one. They were issued an order of conditions on March 22nd, 2006. It permitted the removal / demolition of 7 existing buildings, construction of 8 buildings, construction of an addition to the main building, construction of a trash building, construction of a swimming pool with ancillary structures, stormwater management improvements, and improvements to roadways, parking areas, driveways within the buffer zone to vegetated wetlands and land subject to coastal storm flowage. There was an additional minor modification issued in 2009 for a change in the location of the swimming pool. So not all of this work was done. So the following is a summary of what I just talked about, what was actually completed. So they did end up removing 7 of the existing buildings. That was completed. They built 3 out of the 8 buildings. The 5 other buildings were not constructed, and the locations have been maintained as lawn and grass parking area, completely pervious. And then construction of the main building, the addition that was completed, trash building was completed, swimming pool and ancillary structures in the revised location completed, stormwater management completed, and then the improvements to roadways was partially completed with the construction of White Elephant Way. And then the driveway proposed to C Street was not constructed. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.
Bill, are you okay with this?
Totally, there was a lot going on here.
Yeah, a lot not going.
A lot on the lot. But yes, all good, can confirm, and this one, we would be issuing a partial certification. Which I can remember,
Because they are coming back aggressive,
but not now.
not right now.
So we'd be
Right.
issuing a partial cert for this one.
Anybody have any comments about this?
And real quickly, because I didn't jump in on the last one, but just to confirm, there were no continuing conditions, but I have none to recommend on this one either.
Okay.
But I didn't pipe up, but it was because we were safe. That's
Seth,
it.
Seth, anybody, Joe, any comments?
No.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Mike made the motion, is there a second? RJ seconded, all those in favor, Mike,
Aye.
RJ?
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Okay, turn the page.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chloe.
Extension requests, none. Wait till the fall. Other business approval of minutes, 5/8/2025.
Do you approve?
Aye.
Or be a,
Motion to approve the minutes as drafted.
Seconded.
Oh, second, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. Mike,
Aye.
RJ,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Okay, monitoring reports.
we had nothing new.
Rolling right along here. Committee reports. Crack, he's not here. CPC,
He's not here either.
he's not here either. We are entering, and just for, because I'm the chairman of the CPC, we're entering into our deadlines, and the deadline was the 8th of September. It is now the, oh, not the 8th, but the 7th of 5th And now it's the 12th, that following Friday, because people are just so out straight with Labor Day and everything else. So if people want to get stuff into the CPC for open space or recreation or how affordable housing or historic preservation, they need to get their act together. Because you get about 3 more weeks. NP and EDC,
Nothing new to report.
yes, you do. It didn't pass the state legislature.
Well, we haven't had a meeting since then. but-
Okay, well, it didn't pass. I was notified within 5 minutes. Harbor plan, we are in the final draft. We did have a public hearing last week. And we had maybe 10 people show up, and some people are online that had questions, and we've got a couple of things to talk about at our next meeting, because somebody brought up a couple of really decent ideas, which we had not covered, which was handicap accessibility. And accessibility for all people, not just able bodies, and the fact that there is no lift anymore at the town pier, which used to take you and put you in it, and the ramp disappeared. I mean, we've got issues at all public access points. So we're moving backs or the lifts or whatever, we have to thoroughly put that back into the plan before it gets drafted final. So those are the things we're talking about right now. Enforcement actions, we're not bringing up one of them, but enforcement actions.
Nothing new. We will have, basically just the last step on the one that we closed out last meeting.
So
Just to avoid any, it's not on the agenda or anything, so I just don't want to mention too much, but we will be going over it's gonna be exactly what you saw for the deed restriction, but we will like formally accept it and sign it, either e-sign or not. Which I don't want to jump ahead to staff report, but you can just skip me later. I'm gonna send out e-signatures for tonight since we had half year, half not.
I'll come in and
So,
sign it.
Sweet.
Come in and sign it.
It'll
Okay.
probably be like Monday.
And Winoma is still on there.
Yep, it's escaping my mind what the continuance was for, but we've continued Winoma
I think it
till,
was a settlement.
I believe, the 4th, and I think they continued it to the 4th last meeting. No, Brian continued it earlier this week.
Well, yeah, look at alternative routing of
Yeah.
some of the fence.
So they're still just, they're still working on that, and Brian reached out. It's like, in the absence of information for you guys to review, and then continue, and we'll talk.
Great.
That's it.
Any commissioner comments? You do?
Thanks,
Uh,
Linda, for helping out today.
You talked more than you had to. You didn't want to waste your voice.
Short meeting.
That's a short meeting. Staff report.
I'll just say, go take a look at the waves if you can, and if you haven't.
On which side of the island at the moment, though? Both sides,
Whole south.
and east.
Um,
East would tell me tonight, it's gonna be dark.
but I will just say, just from an NRD and coastal resiliency standpoint, I think there's gonna be some losses of linear feet just based on some
Yeah.
quick observations.
I can hear it out because I'm on the south shore, I can hear it out my
Sounds
side.
like a jet.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Thank you, guys. Easy, quick meeting.
Okay,
Motion to
to
adjourn.
adjourn at 6:06. Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor, Mike,
Aye.
RJ,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel better, Seth.
Yeah, better, Seth.
Good luck.